So much radio show to get to. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. Let's begin, shall we? Thanks for being here, guys. When I say to you that the left wants the violence, I'm saying that there is nothing that shows me that they are doing anything to try and tone down the rhetoric. Now, I will tell you, I have said on this show before that I do not believe that when the right is told you have to tone down the rhetoric, that they have to go, oh, yeah, absolutely, right away. Even though J.D. Vance did say in the presser yesterday that they want to tone down the rhetoric. What I said to the political left is you first. Said it right here on this show. And the reason I said it that way is because none of us are fools. We know how this game is played. You conservative, you Republican, you independent, you moderate, you have to do this and you have to do that, and then everything will be better. You see, the everything will just calm down if ICE would just stop doing its job. Everything would just calm down if Republicans will just do everything we tell them to do. And so you get to a place, you get to a realization that they don't view anybody who disagrees with them as somebody with a political disagreement worthy of discussion. They look at that person as the enemy. Which is going to bring us to the conversation from Melanie Phillips that I forgot to get to yesterday and I feel really bad about. Tony Katz Today. Good to be with you. Good to be here. Find everything I do at TonyKatz.com. The situation of toning down the rhetoric doesn't come from the left. They don't tone down rhetoric. They amp it up. And in the days since what took place in Minneapolis, and you have this woman, Renee Good, who was shot by ICE, the left has not told the story of what has happened. Oh, gosh, far from it. Oh, hell no, as Holly Bacon would say. What they have done is said, look at how ICE murders people. These are authoritarians. These are violent people. They're fascists. Let's go get them. And ICE, you have crimes against ICE up 1,800%. Attacks on ICE, and specifically the car rammings up 3,300%. That was the data that I saw. You have nonstop attacks on these people. They're being shot at in Dallas. You are seeing in New York, where they have these rallies. And what are these rallies about? About wanting to see Kristi Noem hung. And you say to me, oh, Tony, that's not happening. Like I would come without receipts, boo-boo. Kristi Noem will hang. That is the Secretary of Homeland Security. That's what's happening. That is the violence. And there is no one on the left. By the way, while they hold signs, if you could see, if you're watching the live stream, while they hold signs that read ICE kills, there is not a desire on the political left to tone down the rhetoric. There is only the desire to amp it up. I've got Congressman Eric Swalwell now saying, hey, ICE, get the blank out of California. Such a tough guy is Eric Swalwell. The mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, get the blank out of Minneapolis. That beta male playing the tough guy. Larry Krasner, the DA in Philadelphia. None of them with even a willingness to admit what happened that led to the shooting. Only the want and the desire to raise the temperature and bring about the violence. Now you say to me, Tony, they don't want violence. And I will say to you, prove it, kitten. Because I'm watching what it is they're doing. And the only thing that they're doing is leading to the violence. Go ahead. Give me something else. Well, they're just fighting the authoritarianism. They want to hang Kristi Noem. They are attacking ICE agents. And by the way, these attacks were going on long before this woman, Renee Good, who was known as an ICE agitator, by the way. She was known as an agitator. She was understood in that area. The article is at the New York Post. She was there with her spouse, her wife, I guess they're saying. And it was that woman who got out of the car, not in the car with her, and was encouraging her to do this. The two of them, what a team. And it was Renee Good who blocked traffic, and Renee Good who did not listen to the officer when she told to get out of the car. Multiple opportunities to save her own life. She didn't take it. The left wanted this. I know that's an ugly thing to say. It's so awful and so horrific. Look at how they're acting. Look at how they go about engaging. They wanted it. This is exciting to them. This is good. This just proves our point. This is fantastic. This is terrific. Oh, holy hell. This is ugly. And it's not going to stop. Guys, this doesn't stop. The push for the violence. This is the mayor of Minneapolis. Now, producer Landon, you got to be finger on the dump button because I haven't caught all of this yet. Check them out. You tell me. The question being asked, the commentary here, the audio from WCCO in Minneapolis.
Well, I think what this does ultimately is expose the truth. What did they say when they came in here? What has this administration stated as their reason for coming into cities around the country? The reason that they've stated, safety, driving down crime. We'll let our statistics speak for the trajectory. They are clearly driving crime up. Up until last night, we hadn't had any shootings in this city other than ICE. Our city is safe. Our city is welcoming. They are making it less so. And so it is a massive issue that they continue to exert their presence in Minneapolis and beyond. By the way, it's not just our city that is feeling the impact. I know that there are a number of legislators behind me that can speak to that. This administration has also said that they're very pro-business. That's also garbage. I don't have a specific statistic other than anecdotal evidence to point to, but they have had a massive and detrimental impact on a number of corridors throughout our city, including like 80% reductions in customer base along East Lake Street and many other corridors throughout.
Is that where a lot of people who are illegal hanging out? How dare you? How dare anyone go out there and say we should do something about illegal immigration? We should do something about crime. All across the country, it's all just made up. This is an exacerbation. This is wanting and fomenting the violence. That's what we're witnessing. That is what we're looking at. And the left has absolutely no plans at all of stopping. The Attorney General of Minnesota, the radical by the name of Keith Ellison, again, producer Landon on that dump button just in case, as he's on the Dino Badala show there from Sirius XM.
This is an aspiring fascist dictator tyrant trying to impose by force will and dominance on the population. That's what's happening. And the sooner we all wake up to it, the sooner we'll be able to be free of it.
What he's saying is, the sooner you do something about it, winky, winky, That's exactly what they did regarding President Trump. Trump's a fascist. Trump's a dictator. Somebody has to do something. We can't have this, Trump, Trump that. Those were all calls for a lone wolf. That's how you got the assassination attempt. It is imperative that we understand that the desire here is the violence. That's all there is. And the violence is a tactic utilized to try and get other people to stop doing basic things like, actually prosecute those who are in the country illegally. They will stop if you simply stop existing, because the ultimate reality is they have no interest in stopping. This is who they are. This is their belief system. This is how their mechanism works. Somebody has to be oppressing someone somewhere. Someone has to be a fascist somewhere in order for them to exist. Because if those things aren't there, let's say, they'd actually have to look at their own ideas and ideology and say, does this work? And when it doesn't work, they never question themselves. They'll say someone is out there not doing the right thing, and that's what's causing all the heartache. As I'll get into in my conversation with Ed Morrissey, the answer for all central planners when a central planning doesn't work is more central planning. Never admitting that central planning doesn't get you anywhere. Rather, we need more government. So when you see the violence, they'll never say, okay, we need to tone it down. No, the answer is we need more violence to make them stop. We have to thwart these people. These people are destructive. These people are fascists. These people are authoritarians. These people are what was it? Dictators. Can't put the toothpaste back in the tube or wherever it is the toothpaste would then go. This is what they want. This is how violent they are. They will look at the attacks on ICE and say, more, faster. And the leadership will say nothing. They're fine with it. They're good with it. But let's make sure we understand what it is that leadership is good with. This is a woman by the name of Britt Hughes. I do not know Britt Hughes, but Britt Hughes made a heck of a point on social media.
So I just want to get this straight here. Laken Riley was attacked and assaulted and beaten to death so badly that her skull was caved in and she wasn't even recognizable. Jocelyn Nungaray was 12 years old when she was raped and strangled to death under a bridge. Rachel Morin was also a 37-year-old mom when she was attacked and raped and beaten to death and left beside a jogging trail, all by illegal aliens who shouldn't have even been in this country in the first place. And there were no protests for them. The left didn't care. The media didn't care. Democrats wouldn't even stand up in Congress for their names. But
that's outrageously factual. When these things happen, they're not outraged, they're not upset, they're not angered. They have nothing. And they say, let's not solve the problem. They say, how dare you solve the problem? That the idea of admitting there's a problem is the most evil thing. You can't even admit that because that's to be bigoted. We can't have that. Nope. The problem is you Republicans. So illegal immigrants should remain on the streets. The fraud should continue, whether it be from Somali nationals or Americans or anybody else. ICE should not exist. Law enforcement should not exist. And everything somehow will magically be fine. Oh, but you Republicans, you conservatives, re-education camps for the lot of you. And please, it's not me saying it. That is out there from esteemed voices on the left. You think the violence is temporary. I think the violence is the byproduct of years of Marxism that went unchecked, and here we are. The class struggle is about the oppressed and the oppressor. Well, The authoritarian must be the oppressor, and the oppressed is therefore justified in any violent act they take. And since they view everything through that lens, someone somewhere must always be what? The oppressor. And so the violence continues. When I tell you that the left wants this, this is not hyperbole. This is deducing what it is that they have been engaged in, what they have been indoctrinated in, what they have been learning, and what they have taught. And this is the result. And we're in it. And the only way out is through and making sure these people don't win elections, starting with the midterms. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. Tony Katz Today. I see that the chat has got some troll action. First of all, what is this? Is the Shah still dead? What is that, Matt? I don't know what that means. What I want is for the Iranians to throw him out. Absolutely. Hold on. Where were some of these? They were one or two people I immediately got rid of. Oh, here it is. Both Republicans and Democrats are Zionist-owned, extracting USA's tax money to Zionist contractors and banking. Mr. Spiritus. This is not the Nick Fuentes channel. You're in the wrong place. You're looking for Nick Fuentes or Megyn Kelly, right? No, this is Tony Katz, right? Over here, we don't say welcome, my friend. We say, wow, what a schmuck. So go over there. Wherever Megyn and Nick get together and do whatever it is they do, forget them both. So ridiculous. This isn't the place for your stupid. Goodness gracious. Hold on. What else? There was another one. Nope. I might have gotten rid of it. I don't know. So whenever I see some post that says you're a cuck, I'm like, oh God, what a great throwback line. I use it every now and again on the show too, so it's hard to get mad at people. But I was like, yeah, I think we're done here. I am smoking. So glad you asked. This is the Buffalo. Ooh, this is the Buffalo 10. I can't do it close anymore. Light's not there. This is the Buffalo 10, a box press. This is the natural, really excellent smoke for about $6, $7. Really nice piece right here. Gotta get to the show. Let's go. So the jobs report comes out, and I discussed it in depth with Dr. Matt Will, economist at the University of Indianapolis. I'm Tony Katz. The show is Tony Katz Today. You're looking quite hot today, and I wanted you to know it. I wasn't talking to you, producer Landon. The Dow is nearly up 300, at least at this moment. NASDAQ up 190. So it's a question of where it ends up. But it's been kind of up and down because the jobs report came out. And the jobs report stated that we put on 50,000 jobs in December. Well, the estimate was 73,000. And you could argue that that's a miss. But not everybody is fearful. They look at this and say, whoa, maybe there's an opportunity here. And maybe the opportunity is that we could say things are weakening. So what we need to do to make things better is do what? Lower interest rates. And that makes the people there on the Wall Street super happy, and they go, woohoo! I'm assuming that's what they do. And then they're like, let's let the market go up. So that could be it. And then there's Trump on the $200 million worth of bond buying. Yeah. As Dr. Will explains, when you take a first look at this looks like quantitative easing all over again. This looks like the stuff we did during the bailouts. This looks like the stuff that was absolutely part of wrecking the economy. Trump is arguing. And mortgage rates are down, by the way. 30-year fix dropped 22 basis points, 0.22% to 5.99. Funny how it got to that psychological under 6. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that just absolutely amazing that it did that? Because they love this idea. They're going to buy the mortgages and bring down the rates. Oh, that's a dream. I don't know. No, it's not. It doesn't sound like a dream. It sounds like everything that puts us in the places that we used to be in, that we're somehow going through these old machinations and saying, well, this time it'll work. No, it won't. You want things down. I get it, Mr. President. It takes some time. You know what's keeping prices up a little bit? Tariffs. I mean, it's true. We all know it's true. We don't have to pretend. And yet there are places in the economy that are doing just fantastic. Things are I think things are in the head better for people than they were 2 months ago, which is a really weird thing to say. And I think people want to see the good. They see that there's an opportunity here. And it won't take much over the next 6 months to show some, just a couple of things to turn, and then Trump could say, see, and that's going to help make the midterms happen. Keep it here. It's Tony Katz Today. Now the text messages are coming in. I was asked if I have, what is that? I don't even know what in the, it's something for the grill. A grill topper. What the frick is a grill topper? Designed to drain fats away and char food without burning. Why would I want to drain the fat away? The fat's delicious. I mean, look at me. It's basically a tray. I guess it's a tray you put on your grill. I don't know. We could try it. Get me one. Cool. I like when people send me little messages. Tariffs that are purposeful and focused get you the gain. Tariffs everywhere, not great. And it's just saying, it does raise costs. I mean, that's just the facts. That's just the way it is. Just the way it is. Now, someone did mention in the chat. So my home station, where the show emanates from, was having a technical issue, and so someone said they were hearing something old on air. Is that true of WIBC, producer Landon, or was that someone else? Okay. Okay. Good. I like that. What do I have next? I have that. I had a bunch of stuff. I want to see what we get to next. Hold on a second. Nope, not that. We've got Greenland's talk. And then this whole thing about Tulsi is kind of fascinating. And then we've got that. Okay, yeah, I've got that right there. All right, good. Groovy. Oh, did you hear the Philadelphia sheriff threatening ICE agents? You don't want... Did she actually say you don't want this smoke? Oh, honey. Let's see, what else do we have right here? Let me get back to you guys. Okay, so TRC and Elkhart. First of all, love you in Elkhart. I thought we corrected that and put them on the proper feed. Did we not, producer Landon? Okay, so it wasn't from you. It was because something did not connect. All right, I am sorry about it. I wish I was the guy in charge of the technical. I know it all comes back to me. It is outrageously frustrating. It's the best I can do. And listen, I think it hurts. I think that stations get angry about those things. I don't want that. So I'll get on with them later. I know my team has been in contact. It's frustrating stuff. It really is. What does it mean when JD Vance says, take Trump seriously on Greenland? I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with that information. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. JD Vance was excellent yesterday. JD Vance was terrific yesterday in the White House briefing. The only time he, I think, stumbled is when he said of the ICE agent in this shooting that took place in Minneapolis that he had been previously rammed with a car, got 33 stitches, 38 stitches. So maybe when a car is coming at him, he's a little bit sensitive to it. You can't say that about ICE agents. They can't be sensitive to anything. They have to be professionals on the job, and you can't use that as an excuse. I would say that to the vice president directly to him. I'm right, and that was just that was not proper. It was not only a bad word choice, it's not right. But how media is trying to spin all of this is something that he countered outrageously effectively. And there are moments where JD Vance is outrageously good, and I think there are moments where JD Vance misses. And I think that him in many of his foreign policy conversations, it's not that he isn't, it's not that he is unapologetically America first. Being unapologetically America first is actually quite all right. Being foolhardy is not. Which brings us to the conversation about Greenland. No one should be engaged in the idea that we will take Greenland by force. No one. It's a terrible idea, and it's not going to happen. We're going to take Greenland by force, but we have not in Venezuela actually made things better for the Venezuelan people by getting rid of the Maduro regime. Pretty interesting. We haven't gotten rid of the Maduro regime. Rather, we did what? Ensure that we have more access to oil, which I'm fine with. Keeping it out of the hands of the Chinese and the Russians is, of course, the thing. But we're going to take out Maduro, but keep the Maduro regime in place? The people of Venezuela were looking forward to a better tomorrow, and now they're like, oh, that's going to foment some anti-American sentiment there. So there's a real move that has to be made here. And that if you want to engage the Monroe Doctrine to the idea of protection of the Western Hemisphere from Russian and Chinese influence, a la James Monroe, President James Monroe, wanted to keep European influence out of the Western Hemisphere. Well, that also has to be done by ensuring that those in the Western Hemisphere get to live their best life. And that doesn't happen under a communist regime. And if the plan is, well, you know what, we can work with them it's as is, so it's good enough for us. That's not I don't know if that's great. Wait, hold on. I know that's not a great foreign policy. I don't know if others are going to see that as a valuable foreign policy. And I don't see how J.D. Vance promoting anything that is half measure as value. And I don't see promoting the idea of we're taking Greenland by force as value. I think promoting the idea that Greenland has absolutely incredible assets is important to us. And there is protection to be discussed. And we need the Danes to recognize that we're the ones who can protect Greenland and protect them from the Russian and the Chinese threat. That's not only regarding Greenland itself, but all of those waterways around it. Do you really want them to be able to get that close all the time? Let's make a deal. Which is what I always took as the conversation about any military action as. I discussed it on the show that it's just a way of Trump getting the debate going, the negotiation going. And I know it freaks other people out, but it just doesn't, you know, it doesn't move me. Like, I don't get freaked out by it. It freaks other people out. But when I see J.D. Vance engage in these kinds of things, take Trump seriously on Greenland, well, what does that mean? Take him seriously on the idea of a military kind of move? Because no, that's a terrible idea. Let's not do that. But when Vance is there in front of the press saying, you're lying, that didn't happen, you're trying to manipulate, you're trying to create anger, you're trying to foment anger, we're going to protect ICE, we're not going to be afraid of it, we're not going to allow you to manipulate, we're going to push back on every narrative you push out there, we're not going to stop, and also your mother, like that's worthwhile. So I do find myself in a bit of frustration with J.D. Vance. But in moving on from him and to other members of the cabinet, someone noticed that when the whole Venezuela conversation took place, and you have the operation that took place, where was Tulsi Gabbard? She's the director of national intelligence. Where was Tulsi Gabbard in this conversation? Well, according to the Wall Street Journal, Trump and Gabbard are not necessarily close. He wanted to limit the amount of people who were involved in the operation. She was not part of it. She was in Hawaii. Am I to believe that the director of national intelligence wasn't given a heads up? Did she learn about this on the news and say, oh my gosh? Part of the issue when Gabbard took the position was the idea that she has her own agenda. And the agenda is not to present the president with everything, but rather the agenda is, well, here's how I feel about these things, so I'm only going to present it this one way, which is not something I want from the DNI. I want the DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, presenting the totality. Here's what we've got. Now, if you ask me my opinion, here's what I think it means. What do I think we should do with it would be another question you could ask me. But in the end, Mr. President, that's up to you. But if you don't present all the information, how is it possible for the president or anybody else to make a decision? They weren't given all of the information, therefore not given all the opportunities, therefore not able to look around corners and see what might be possible. Right? That's the thing. So was she left out for that purpose? That she does some things that he likes, and it's not enough to bother him, and he doesn't want to have to change members of the cabinet because that would only give the press a story? Or was she actually kept out of this conversation because in the conversation, she wouldn't give good information. She wouldn't provide good data. I don't know, but I think it's very, very interesting. Like, it's interesting that Trump is threatening all hell on the Iranian regime. The protesters are in the streets. They are, setting photos of the Ayatollah on fire. They are taking over certain cities. They want the Ayatollah gone. And the pressure is on. They have an opportunity to have a very, very good Iran. Make Iran Persia again, as I would say. But someone brought something up that I thought was fascinating. I had not considered, which is strange because I've said to you, and you may have said yourself, that Iran has a chance at a really good life without the Ayatollah. But it never dawned on me, or it never made me question or think whether or not Iran would not be a Muslim nation. That thought never occurred to me. That thought never occurred to me at all. Well, Tony, of course they would be a Muslim nation. But they're a Muslim nation now. So what are they protesting? What are they actually pushing back against? Well, there's all the sanctions. And well, there's the religious police. And well, there's all these restrictions. And they've executed 1,900 people in 2025. And so they are pushing back on some things, like the Islamist things. Which takes me to this post on X from a guy by the name of Simon Fox. I don't know who Simon Fox is, but I saw the post because it was actually quoted by Monty Pythoner John Cleese. I was like, what is this? Let me read it to you. BBC News is deliberately ignoring the revolution in Iran. Well, we could say that about a lot of news sources. A lot of news sources are so-called news sources, news organizations. They're not sources of anything except dribble. They've been ignoring the story. Why are they ignoring the story? And this is what he asked. And why is that? Why is BBC News ignoring the story? He writes, my guess is they don't want to broadcast the fact that an entire nation is rejecting Islamism. The BBC doesn't want to offend Islamists in the UK and elsewhere. You ever hear something that you have said differently 19 million times, but somebody comes along, no matter who they are, and says it with a succinctness that makes you go, son of a mother! Holy cow, is that smart? Like the minute you hear it, you're like, oh, let me give you a follow-up to that real quick. This is the UAE, United Arab Emirates. In June of 2025, the UAE Ministry of Education removed all British universities from its approved list for government scholarships, citing risks of Islamist radicalization linked to the Muslim Brotherhood. So the UAE won't allow citizens to study in British universities for fear of being radicalized by the Muslim Brotherhood Islamists on those campuses. That's two. What I have a friend. One is a coincidence. Two is a data point. Three is a trend. He'll text me. He'll remind me what it is. Are we seeing, for the first time that I can note, a recognition that a reformation is necessary in Islam, which we've discussed here? If you don't have that, and you have these Islamists who truly believe, they truly believe that their job isn't takeover. This is just one of many posts that exists out there from these Islamists on social media and other places.
We don't say that Islam is here to live, to coexist with lots of different religions and all of us can just hold hands and be friends. This religion was sent to dominate the world. It was sent to be superior, to extinguish the light of every other religion and to be superior to it. But we're not shy to say it, and we don't find that to be something that we should be shy to say, that this religion has been sent to dominate, to wipe out, to take out every other religion.
Well, sounds like a religion of peace to me. Are we seeing a recognition that you cannot coexist with the Islamists, you cannot have the Islamists, and we are seeing news organizations refuse to report on what's happening in Iran because they don't want to upset the Islamists? There's so much truth in that. My God, well said. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. I get a lot of garbage email. I cleared out earlier today everything that was in my promotions tab on Gmail, and look at this. Well, it's back again. Like a couple hundred. That is a lot of crap. That is a fair amount of garbage. Unnecessary. Guys, good to be with you. Tony Katz today. What else haven't I gone over that I should? What other stories should I be getting to today that I have potentially missed? Oh, do you want to do that story? I will do. I have got it from the New York Post. So weird. Let me see if I can pull this up right here. Did you guys hear the whole Representative Ocasio-Cortez accusing Fox host Jesse Waters of sexual harassment? These people. So first of all, I'm glad everything there in Elkhart is back up and running. Secondly, yeah, the studio did get changed up. This is now the full studio look. Shoot, right? The full thing, corner to corner. Is what like how you would measure a TV. So that's what we've got here. So the brick that you see, that was the outside of the house. So we didn't put that up. That was there. That is not all of it, but the same brick company that was used for the original track of the Indianapolis 500. So I have it's not every place. The name of the brick company on some bricks around, not in here. That'd be cool if it was in here. It's not. And so that's then built the whole studio around it. So yes, it is a new look. And when you're up there in Elkhart, tell John Zimney he's a good man. Coming back. Excellent. And then I've got my interview with Ed Morrissey. That's a two-parter. Look forward to sharing that with you as well. So I'd asked producer Landon, what should we be discussing next? And he said, well, what about Representative Ocasio-Cortez accusing Jesse Waters of sexual harassment? And I said, oh, yeah, that is insane. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Did you not hear this? This happened. No. Jesse Waters didn't do anything wrong. I've never met Jesse. I've never worked with Jesse. Nothing. But she actually accused him of harassment, and it was caught on video in terms of the questions that were asked of Ocasio-Cortez. Here. You're the dumb butt.
He accused me of he has sexualized me on his show. He has sexually harassed me on his show. He has engaged in horrific, sexually exploitative
That's
rhetoric.
not true, Congresswoman.
It is true because he accused me of wanting to quote unquote sleep with Stephen Miller. So why don't you tell me what you think is acceptable to tell a woman? Thank you.
I'll tell you, maybe you want to sleep with Stephen Miller. What? Who the hell are you? Aren't you the one? Wait a second. Wasn't it Ocasio-Cortez who said about somebody, oh, they just want to date me? Wasn't that her? You don't think it's wrong to say? No one's ever said of a man, oh, he just wants to sleep with. No one ever said a woman, oh, she just wants to sleep with. I'm not saying that we should talk like that. But here you are answering a question. I think that's one of Jesse Waters' producers. I think that's who that was. And you just make this accusation of sexual harassment? You're weak. You really are. You're weak. And I think the issue is that she's upset that Jesse Waters won't date her. I think that's very obvious at this stage. How dare he be a happily married man with a new baby? Why won't he love me? That's a jilted lover, Ocasio-Cortez right there. This is Tony Katz today. Can't wait till she sends her emails my way. And I'll be like, oh, she just wants to date me. Yes, I noticed it was indeed Midas Touch, which is this leftist outfit. That is correct. But like that is crazed. That is just nuts. You think it's sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is sexual harassment. You can argue it's Jesse Waters saying something you don't like. No, she secretly, she wants him. They all want the Jesse Waters. They all want to swim in the waters. They all want to do the backstroke or, I don't know, whatever other swimming move you want to insert. What? Is it something I said? No? Nothing. Just talking about swim moves. Right? You can't say giggity, producer Landon. It gives us no credibility. You got to keep an air of, professionalism at all times. Gosh. Just so outrageously silly. So here's where we are, right? The radio show is in commercial break, so we are in commercial break. Smoke them if you got them. We will be back in a few minutes. Keep it right here. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. I spoke with Ed Morrissey earlier from hotair.com, and we're going to see if I can do this. Oh, well, we'll be able to do this. That's exactly how I'll do it. So I will share that with you coming up in just a moment or two. Appreciate everybody who subscribed to the channel. We have had, right, well, I have a smaller YouTube channel, right? Because really, well, I've had it for forever. I don't think I ever played it well, planned it well, engaged with it well. And part of my reality is that I always liked just being a radio host. I didn't want to play in the digital spaces. And then you're like, okay, I'm too late to play in the digital spaces. How in the world does this get done? And you after months of study, there's no trick. It doesn't exist. Go do the stuff, keep doing the stuff, do the stuff well, do it again. And that's what we've been doing. And we have just been doing great in the world of subscribers. Views slowly, like we have smaller numbers, but they're ticking up and they're moving in the right direction. And so many people are so afraid to be patient. They expect, well, if you don't have 50 million people, you're not a success. And do you rank yourself based on other people's view of success or your own? It's working. We're getting there bit by bit and piece by piece. And so I want to thank you guys for that. Also, thank you for getting your tickets. Trump 1 year later, the highs, the lows, how we win the midterms. You're going to have some incredible bourbon. Really fantastic. And the food, and we're going to laugh. It's going to be such an incredible night. Tickets.tonykatz.com. And yes, because we have so many sponsors, we've been able to discount the tickets. So if you already have tickets, you're going to get some extras. Don't worry. You're going to get your money's worth. Right now, get your tickets. Make it happen. I want to see everybody there. I want a room of 19 million people. Okay, we don't have 19 million tickets. I want to see a room. I want to see everybody there because their blueprint exists for winning the midterms. It does. And I am going to bring it to you. Cannot wait. So I hope to see you there. Show's about to begin. And while absolutely everything is about what's happening with ICE, what's happening across the country, how the political left is not only engaged in violence, they support it, they want it, they fantasize about it. This is their moment. They don't look at this and say, tone down the rhetoric. They look at this and say, when will the right crack? Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Find everything I do over at tonykatz.com. But it's not just this that's happening. Yesterday, with very little fanfare, House Republicans voted with Democrats to extend Obamacare subsidies for 3 more years. Just, because why not? So they had the shutdown. They didn't get what they want. They were promised that we would have another vote, and Republicans said, 3 more years of this, of subsidies that were only COVID era for an Obamacare that's supposed to lower costs? Is this rational or is all politics local? Ed Morrissey joins me right now from hotair.com, where he is the capo di tutti capo over there. Good to see you, Ed. We will get into ICE. We can go very, very deep there, specifically and especially about what we're talking about regarding Western civilization, which I won't stop from. This is obvious. The Marxism has taken hold. If you send your kids to universities, you're out of your head. Well, depending on the university, we have a real danger here. But Republicans voting for Obamacare subsidies, 17, I think, Republicans voted with the Democrats. Do you see this as, well, I guess Obamacare is going to stay for the rest of Trump's presidency? Or is this well, you do this so the Republicans can say they voted for that, and then you make moves in the Senate and it'll be what it is?
Well, I mean, certainly the possibilities there, right? And we've talked about this, is that I would have maybe said, if you're looking to protect yourself on this, you do a 1 year extension of the subsidies, and then you introduce a reconciliation package to try to undo everything. And that may still be what's going to happen, which is that they can introduce a reconciliation package that will then address the entirety of Obamacare. The problem is that Republicans really don't have a plan to deal with the entirety of Obamacare. They still, 15 years down the road, still have not figured out what it is that they want to do about it, or 16 years down the road now. But at least that possibility does exist. A 3-year extension doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's better than a 2-year extension, which would have been in the middle of an election cycle. But really, honestly, the 1-year extension would have been sufficient to do what it is that's happening here. The reason why it's a 3-year extension, of course, is because Mike Johnson didn't get in front of this. Hakeem Jeffries brought up a bill. I'm trying to think of discharge petition that forced the issue. And because Hakeem Jeffries and his caucus wrote that, it was 3 years. And some Republicans who are representing moderate districts who are at risk in the midterms could not, felt that they could not withstand the political pressure of voting against this. And so Hakeem Jeffries played it smart. I mean, he played it smart. That was smart.
One of the other arguments could be is that, you can't, I think that we need to get rid of Obamacare, of course. That is in the end, it has to be ripped out by the root. But in the extension of subsidies now, if it is indeed 3 years, Hakeem Jeffries took it off the table for the midterms, never mind for 2028. So is that the smartest approach that the left could take here? Because now it looks like it doesn't even look like that. Look what we did to the Republicans. The whole subject kind of gets washed away.
Well, I mean, he teed it up for the presidential elections, which is the reason why you got the 3-year, right? Well, let me take that back. No, he teed it up past the presidential elections. So yes, again, 1 and 3 are not bad numbers for Republicans. 2 would have been the worst. Excuse me, 1 and, well, I have to figure this out because the math changed after the first of the year, and I have to go back and rethink that. 3 puts it to 2029, so it's past the presidential election. 1 would have put it just past the midterms, but it would have been an issue in the midterms. 2. None of these numbers are great, but again, the Republicans aren't on offense here. Correct. And that's the problem.
That's it.
They should have known that this was coming up. Everybody knew that this was coming up. The expiration of these subsidies has been known since they were first passed. They chose to do a reconciliation package, but didn't address this in the reconciliation package. They addressed other issues in that one big, beautiful bill. This is a strategic choice, I guess, by Mike Johnson and the White House. It's not a very good one, but they do have the ability now with the new budget resolution that they can pass probably in February or March to open up a new reconciliation package that will deal with this issue. But they have to have something to replace it, and something that's going to get the majority in the House, where now they're down to, I think, basically 2-seat margin because the death of a Republican last week, I believe it was.
California, and then you have the retirement of Marjorie Taylor Greene. But the point is taken. You can actually hear people saying, how is it possible that this Republican Party does not have a plan? Nothing, ungats, on the subject of Obamacare. How many years does it take to engage your strategery in order to be able to say, this sucks, this is better, we're going to go do this, and do it quick, do it fast. You've got the leadership, you've got the control of the House and the Senate, boom, get it done, and still nothing. And this is the frustration point. What do you know about where that frustration point is within the Republican Party? Or are they just like inured to it and don't actually care?
I think that they've kind of given up on getting ahead of healthcare in terms of credibility with voters. It's a mistake, but I think they've kind of given up on it. And I think they've kind of given up on getting rid of Obamacare. I think they figure that they're stuck with it now, and the only thing they can do is nibble at the margins of this thing, which is a terrible decision. But the truth is that Democrats have more credibility on this issue than Republicans do. That's a historical fact, even though Obamacare turns out to be terrible. The problem with making that decision is that Obamacare is going to collapse one way or the other. I mean, this is already part of the collapse. And the only option at the end of that kind of a collapse is Medicare for all, where you basically adopt socialized medicine, you nationalize the healthcare system. And that's an even bigger disaster. That's where the left is pushing for. Obamacare was always just a tee up for socialized medicine, whether you call it Medicare for all, whatever you call it. And that's exactly where the left wants to take this. It was a transition to socialized medicine, and it's working.
Well, I don't know if we say it's working. If you're arguing that as a matter of policy for Democrats who want Medicaid for all, it's the Bernie Sanders dream. This fails, so we can introduce another failure. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, in that case, that's working.
The problem is that they're establishing more and more government intervention in the healthcare markets. And this is, I mean, you can read Hayek for this, is that when government intervention in an economic, central planning fails, the answer is always more and more government intervention, because the people who fail at it are really aiming for that type of thing anyway. And they believe that they can force outcomes through central planning. And again, if you read The Road to Serfdom by F.A. Hayek, you can see exactly how this kind of thing works. It's not just on the macro political scale of socialism. It's also in these, I wouldn't necessarily call it micro, but in these subsidiary subsets of economic questions of central planning. Obamacare is central planning. It's failing. The answer to that is going to be more central planning with more force and a little bit more brutal application, because that's exactly the cycle that this goes through.
The left never learns from their mistake. They never admit to the mistake. The problem is you didn't let them implement it faithfully, properly, in its totality. And it's
never been tried. True socialism has never been tried. Yeah.
True socialism has never been tried. I've got more with Ed Morrissey coming up. Keep it right here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. What in the world is with my shot? There we go. Much, much, much better. So, yes, if you were asking if that was recorded, yes, it was. Yes, it was recorded. I did that with Ed a little bit earlier based on timing. And then I said, okay, now I'm going to bring it to all of you. And that's how it works. It's the magic of radio. That was part one. We've got a part two to this conversation to get to in a little bit. That was fancy, wasn't it? Not bad with a little transition there and everything else. Like, hey, cats, look at you. Hold on. I should Google Epstein Trump? You're the first person ever to say that. You're a genius. Hold on. Wow, that is not nice. I won't even say that. That is not nice. You're telling this guy who said Google Epstein Trump that now you should Google your mom, you porn and your mom. That is really not nice to say, Indy Andy. Everybody knows that if you look at you porn, the only thing you'll see is his mom. You don't have to Google it. I mean, it's so rude. It's so rude, Andy. What? Like, you think we're above some your mom you porn jokes? We are not. We are not. Oh, goodness gracious. All right, let me see where we're at, what I want to get to. All right, there's that. Well, that's a silly headline. I'm not doing that. You want me to do this story? Kendall Jenner finally breaks silence on rumors she's secretly gay. I don't think I have time for this. I never asked. I don't know Kendall. I don't know anything about her. I never asked about what she's doing and who she's doing it with. Never dawned on me to be something I should care about. Not at all. 1 minute, did you say there, producer Landon? Go. It's a good day. It's been a good week. It's been a good week. So thank you all for that. And again, I will implore you, get your tickets. The bourbon's going to be so great. Food, the party. And I'm telling you, you're going to be entertained. You're going to be like, that was worth every penny. It was worth it. Oh, have no doubt. Trump 1 year later, tickets.tonykatz.com. Get your tickets right now.
Well, when News Nation investigates, the impact can be swift and dramatic. We saw that today as shockwaves reverberated in part from a News Nation exclusive we brought you last night. We told you about how a small community in Maine alleges that money for mass shooting victims instead went to a Somali-linked nonprofit.
Okay, this is getting insane. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Hope you'll join me January 24th. Trump 1 year later. The highs, the lows, how we win the midterms. 3 bourbons to try. The food's going to be incredible. I'm going to walk you through Trump's last year, how this plays for the midterms, how the midterms are totally winnable. I have got the plan. I have got the layout. I'm telling you this can happen. Join some great people downtown Indianapolis. Come join us. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Get your tickets now while the discount is on. The VIP is sold out. That's sold out, but there are still general admission tickets. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Not a bad seat in the place, Hyatt Regency, downtown Indianapolis. Join me January 24th. Tickets.tonykatz.com. This is Maine. They're reporting there from News Nation. They're raising money to help victims of a shooting, and it ends up in the pockets of Somali nationals and people who hail from Somalia. And when people say, well, you can't talk that way about Somalians, I can notice something's happening. In Minnesota, in Maine, where did everybody learn to game the system so well? This is unbelievable. Every time you see the gaming of the system, everybody else is like, what am I being such a schmuck working for? Listen to this story.
Well, tonight, less than 24 hours after our report aired, Lewiston City Council member Iman Osman, who is a Somali refugee, is stepping down. He didn't give a reason, but News Nation has learned his nonprofit was one of dozens that received some of that money raised for these shooting victims. Not only that, it turns out Osman has 2 felony gun charges and faked his address. News Nation investigative correspondent Rich McHugh has been digging into this and joins me now. You broke this news last night. How did this unfold today?
It's been wild, Elizabeth, and it's still actually unfolding. There's an emergency city council meeting happening right now in the building behind me. They're trying to figure out what exactly to do. So just to reset, the Lewiston had one of the worst mass shootings in our country's history. The country rallied behind, raised a bunch of money, over $6 million. There was the Maine Community Foundation. They promised everybody that all of the monies were going to go to the victims and their families. Well, it turns out that about 30%, 1.9 million, went not to the families and victims, but went to nonprofits. And we found that at least 9 of them were immigrant focused. At least 7 of them were Somali linked nonprofits. Now,
I can't make it up. And if you want to call me a xenophobe or a bigot or a racist, first of all, secondly, it's the news. It's right there. Good Lord. Man, people, how do they learn to manipulate the system? And listen to how they did it.
One of those nonprofits is the Lewiston Auburn Youth Network. They received $65,000. The Somali man who runs it, Imam Osman, sworn in as city councilor this week. He stepped down this morning. And so we've done some digging. He's facing felony gun charges. He has pled not guilty to that. He ran for city council here using an address that is a condemned chicken restaurant. I went there and looked inside earlier.
There's a picture of it. There's a picture. It's called Fast Wicked Chicken. By the way, I don't know if it's cliche or just genius that your location is a condemned chicken restaurant, not a shut down chicken restaurant. Oh, no. Not a doing poorly chicken restaurant. This guy clearly never heard of Gus Fring. It's a condemned chicken restaurant. And if you're like, who in the world is Gus Fring? That's the guy who owned the chicken place in Breaking Bad. Yeah, you're welcome. That's right. Tony got all cultural all up in there. I have questions galore. Directed 30% of the money that was supposed to go to these victims' families to nonprofits, 7 of 9 Somali run.
This is his nonprofit received the $65,000 from the Lewiston Victims Fund when survivors like Jennifer Zenka, shot twice, received a mere $32,000 and couldn't pay for her surgeries. Take a listen.
It didn't really hit me and really upset me until I was in a position with a $93,000 hospital bill that I couldn't cover.
So that's a story. That is a crazy story. Of course, we're going to notice. Now, I've been asked in a very, very silly question. Tony, tell us about those Islamists you're so scared of. Why do they hate America? I think that you're saying this very, very wrong. And it's purposeful. And it's purposeful because you either lack the ability to engage honestly, or you think this is some kind of dig. The Islamist believes in a worldwide caliphate. The Islamist believes that Islam should control the world. Remember, this is not a religion, this is a political system. And they believe that they are touched by God to engage this implementation at all costs, including through lying, including through manipulation, and yes, including through violence. Not because I say so, but because they say so. Now, if you're angry at me, this guy's name is Alexander. If you're angry at me, Alexander, for noticing what it is that they themselves, the Islamists, have said, you can be angry at me. But I'm still going to notice, kitten. I'm happy to notice what it is that they say. Why won't you? Why won't others? Christians cannot live with Islamists. Jews cannot live with Islamists. Muslims cannot live with Islamists. They can't. This is the reality of the situation. They have made it clear. They want domination. They are believers that you must submit or die. They want you to pay the jizya, which is the tax for the non-believers. Why in the world would anybody question something that is clearly factual? When it comes to these Somali nationals or people who are Somalian and are American citizens, the fraud connected to Somali something is unbelievable. I mean, how can you not notice it? It's shocking. The people charged with crimes are the ones dealing with crimes. I didn't say you should go about attacking a whole group of people. Oh, your question is, why would they be attacking the United States? Oh, gosh, your answer, I'm going to assume, is because the U.S. does this, does that, and does the other. And my answer is because throughout history, the Islamist has been an invader and an attempted conqueror. And they engage in making sure that they leave some type of statement in places that they have had conquest over. And they believe that once they've conquered it, they should be allowed to reconquer it. And since the United States and Western civilization stands in their way of a worldwide caliphate, that's why. If you want to argue it's because the U.S. intervenes here and the U.S. intervenes there, that is not the facts. Even if you want to argue against American policy in the past or right now, that's totally fine. That doesn't change what they believe their goal is as presented to them through the Quran. Get angry all you want. It's right there in surah after surah after surah. That's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. And you ask now, if they want to spread a caliphate, you think they'd conquer smaller, weaker Christian countries first. You mean like France and the UK? Hey, man, thanks for the comments. I'm more than happy to have explained this to you. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. Grok can disagree with me all Grok wants. The AI disagrees with me, so oh well. I mean, you really wrote that. Now, Alexander, you say we work together at AFP. Where? Where do we work together at AFP? Also, this statement is false. That they're not just attacking the largest, strongest nation first. It's all nations. You see what they do in Israel. You see what they do to people in their own nations. What they've done to people in Iran. What they've done to people in Egypt, etc. What are we talking about? I don't want to defend the indefensible. I did. Well, Wisconsin was a lot of years ago, man. You worked with Grover? I never worked. So I did stuff for AFP. I never was an employee of AFP. And I never worked for ATR, Americans for Tax Reform. I did that when, oh my God, when Romney lost the election, we were doing, I forgot who had us in. We did a live stream. So then the set we created was so awesome. We did a live stream at Americans for Tax Reform when he lost. And to watch that place empty out, we had people coming in on Skype and the team that we had, it was unbelievable. It was so cool. And then it didn't work out well. It did not go well. Now, is it true? The number one spokesman for Islamists is Tucker Carlson. I don't want to. I've got plenty to say about Tucker, but not necessarily that. But there was this report that there is nothing airing on Iranian television. The internet's not working because of the protests. Excuse me, a whole bunch of things. But they're running interviews that Tucker Carlson has done. Is that actually true? Like, I saw it a couple times on social. I'm like, I don't know if I can buy into that. Just because they say it doesn't make it factual. It just doesn't. You know, that's always important to remember. So the people get into the, oh, I don't like this person. I don't like that person. And then you kind of lose touch with, well, wait, did something happen or not? You're like, oh, I don't like them, so therefore this absolutely happened. You don't know that. You don't know it. So you gotta sometimes when you see something, take it with a a grain of salt. All right, we're coming back, and I'm going to give you part 2 of my conversation with Ed Morrissey over there at hotair.com. Guys, stay right where you are. So exactly how violent is the left? I'll answer you. Outrageously violent. And there is nobody within that party in any level of quote unquote leadership that wants it to stop. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Let me bring back Ed Morrissey and continue our conversation. Tony Katz. Good to be with you with Ed Morrissey right here from hotair.com. Let's get into now the part 2, which is what we are seeing regarding immigration and customs in enforcement. Now, you've got the piece right here. The new CNN video, activists blocked the road, accelerated toward ICE agent walking across. This is about this woman, Renee Good, who was shot and killed when engaged with ICE officers. She is the one who was in her car blocking the roadway. She is the one who did not listen to ICE agents when she was ordered out of the car. She then backed up. The wheels spun when she started going forward. She started going forward and turning to the right. Shots were fired. She was killed. The leftists want to call ICE agents murderers. They don't even want to know what happened. They don't want you to know what happened with the story. They just want to scream murder. So does Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. So does Eric Swalwell. So does the tough guy, mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey. All they want to do is scream murder. And then you had another incident with ICE in Portland, Oregon. You're seeing ICE agents being rammed by cars, being blocked in by other people, their vehicles, all the time. First, let's talk about what you're writing about with this new CNN video that, I guess, in your view, makes the proof of this was self-defense and the woman was in the wrong concrete.
So what this shows is some things that we had been told, but the previous videos were very short, right? So you didn't see the context of everything that happened. This woman pulled up and parked normally on the street. And this, by the way, this video is coming from a residential surveillance system that CNN acquired. And, kudos to CNN for actually running this because they didn't have to, but they did. It's about a 4-minute long clip. You see the car pull up normally, park normally. A woman gets out who is very likely, if not obviously, the driver's wife, who was known to be on scene and filming this for social media output, and then repark the car perpendicular to the curb so that it obstructs the street, at least partly obstructs the street. Now, there's an ICE operation going on there, and you mentioned this. There have been numerous attempts to block in ICE agents with vehicles or with crowds of people, which isolates them and sets them up for an ambush. We can get back to what the Chicago police chief had to say about that maybe in a moment. But at any rate, it shows her deliberately parking her car perpendicularly. And when ICE agents see this, they start coming to the car. And we know from other videos that they're trying to tell her to get out of the car because she's obstructing, a law enforcement operation, which is a crime, rather than get out of the car, which is what she's supposed to do. This is it's a legal order and she's supposed to comply with it. She accelerates and she's driving towards an officer. And this video shows that the officer was just crossing in front of the car at the time, probably to support one of his partners at the driver's side door. She accelerates toward the guy. I'm still not clear whether or not he was actually physically struck, but that is assault with a deadly weapon. And considering the context of the potential ambush and everything else that was going on that day, there is certainly a reasonable fear that this person was trying to hit and run over this law enforcement agent, who pulls out his weapon and fires, I believe, 3 shots, at least one of which hit the driver and killed her. And so this makes it clear that this isn't just, oh, they just happened to pull somebody over randomly and then shot her. She was being asked to get out of the car because she was obstructing the street in this operation, and it looked like an ambush, or at least the start of an ambush. And it's not the first time that ICE agents have had to deal with that sort of thing. So I think it's very interesting context. Again, there's going to be tons of video. Tom Homan made this point to CBS News. Said, I'm not going to reach a conclusion on this because there's going to be tons of video that I'm going to have to look at in order to conclude what happened here. But it does show the entire context of, or at least the entire sequence of what happened there. It's a very deliberate attempt to interfere with ICE operations. That in itself is at least a misdemeanor. It's a obstruction of law enforcement. That's at least a misdemeanor. And is certainly a justification for asking the woman to step out of the car to determine what it was that her intentions were. She could have chosen differently at many different steps, right? She could have chosen to not block the street. She could have just been there as an observer, and that would have been legal. Stay on the sidewalk, pull out your phone. You can videotape all you like from there. That's legal. She could have left the scene. She could have stepped out of the car when law enforcement gave her a legal order to do so. Instead, she chose to try to flee and hit an officer, or at least look like she was trying to hit an officer. That's a choice, and she suffered the consequences of it.
This is the point. Talking to Ed Morrissey of hotair.com, Ed Morrissey, Morrissey on the Twitter X. If you want to follow him, and you should. That first, we have the left unwilling to tell the whole story. You had Chris Hayes on with Stephen Colbert. You have Rachel Maddow on with Jimmy Kimmel, where Rachel Maddow is actually having a conversation. Well, they tell us that if 3.5% of a population rises up against an authoritarian dictator, that authoritarian dictator falls. 3.5% of the country, if they rise up against an authoritarian, then that person falls. They are still pushing for the violence, and this is the story. They don't tell you what happened. We are at the place, Ed, and I think everybody knows this, but as we have to be engaging it in full. The response to this was not, whoa, everybody needs to calm down. It was ICE are murderers, ICE are fascists, ICE are authoritarians, attack ICE more, go after ICE more. Let's post more videos of people blocking ICE agents in and laughing. Let's post more videos of this 60-some-odd-year-old woman screaming hysterically at ICE agents with her sign, "Shoot me." I don't know if you saw that video.
No, I didn't see that.
It's maddening, and I could go into an entire rant about liberal white women, but this is bigger. This is stronger. The left as a party is encouraging the violence. You had Jacob Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, tell ICE, get the blank out of ICE. Then you have Eric Swalwell, the congressman from California, telling ICE, get the blank out of California. Me personally, I want Swalwell just to stay the blank out of Chinese spies. That would make me much happier. But you have...
Might make the Chinese spy happier too, actually. I mean, let's face it. It might have made the Chinese spy happier too. So yes, okay.
The clear story here is that there is no desire to reduce temperature. The only desire is to increase temperature. And the only way this goes, this increased temperature, is more violence, is more destruction. This is proof that the Marxism is at play here. It has taken hold, and the party doesn't actually have any connection to a Democrat party. That's over. This is a progressive party. This is a Marxist-run party. If we want to talk about who won in relationship to the Obamacare conversation, it's Bernie Sanders who has won this thing overall.
I agree.
And we are here. And the party must be prepared to address the Republicans, independents, moderates, Americans, rational people, etc., have to be prepared for the fact that the violence is going to be taught in schools and the violence is going to be perpetrated on the streets. And the media is going to look at the violent people as heroes and the people saying, leave me alone, as the villains. How is this countered?
Well, first off, I agree with you, and I want to just make a distinction here too, because we've always had people shooting their mouths off, right, about about police in general and all sorts of different things. In this case, though, you had the governor of the state and the mayor of the city that were talking about going to war with the federal government, that the federal government didn't have any jurisdiction in their state and in their city, and trying to gin up outrage in the immediate aftermath of this shooting, trying to generate a riot in a place that famously touched off riots across the United States 6 years ago, a little less than 6 years ago. Then apparently somebody must have whispered into Tim Walz's ear about the Insurrection Act and Donald Trump's very likely decision to invoke it if Tim Walz kept talking about going to war with the with ICE agents using the state National Guard. Because then Walz got up and said, "Okay, don't do anything. Don't do anything. Don't give him an excuse to invoke the Insurrection Act, because the Insurrection Act is something that Trump has basically plenary authority to invoke." And Tim Walz was basically declaring a rebellion by saying that the state was, or at least intimating that the state was going to go to war against the federal government by blocking federal agents from enforcing federal law in the state of Minnesota. I mean, it's different when officials do this than it is when just loudmouths on social media or on street corners do it. That's the difference in this case now.
Before we go any further, since it is everyone, it is politicos, and it is those in the media, whether they be on the so-called news side, as if you want to argue that MS Now or Ms. Now is actually,
I call it M Snow. I call it M Snow. I love their ad where they were all the white women were talking about how they were fighting for civil rights, and they had the actors of color doing the chin stroking and nodding their heads. I call it M Snow, and that is the way I'm always going to refer to that channel from this point forward. M Snow.
You've got the so-called news, the so-called journalists. You have the late night TV. You have the politicos, all in concert, pushing for, advocating for, supporting, and not condemning violence. Yep. Therefore, the violence becomes the standard and the norm. And the only, I argue often that the only way out is through. But is this different in the pantheon of American politics and American culture?
I think it's similar to what we saw in the late 60s and early 70s with the war in Vietnam, especially. It calmed down after the war was over, but we were seeing this type of radical stuff even from politicians in that period of time. And I've talked with people who were adults who passed through that era. I was a kid, and so I have at least some recollection of this era, but not in depth and sophisticated. I've read about it since then, so I understand it, but I didn't necessarily live through it as an adult. People who did say that this is actually starting to approach those levels where they were very concerned about things like armed rebellions. And you're going to see groups like the Weathermen and the Symbionese Liberation Army and that sort of thing start to form if politicians don't start acting responsibly, and if the media doesn't start acting responsibly. And I'm talking about the media across the entire board. Just to make this point, your point, a little bit broader, the movie that's probably going to win the Oscars and the most Oscars this year is the one with Leonardo DiCaprio. And I'm trying to think, No Battles Left Unfought or something. I didn't watch it. But it's all about taking up arms against immigration forces, right? And I mean, that's fine for a movie, but that's the type of thing that the media culture is celebrating, is this insurrection type of, the La Revolution type of, culture. So yes, it's bad. I don't know if it's as bad as it was in the late 60s and early 70s, but it's bad. And until people start gaining some perspective on what it means to responsibly govern a constitutional republic, it's not going to get better. And until people start paying political prices for this type of thing, you're going to see it continue to escalate. And unfortunately, people like Renee Good are going to be the cannon fodder that ends up dying so that people can continue to fundraise and gin up more outrage. This is a woman who was manipulated at some level, was manipulated by a bunch of people who were demagoguing immigration enforcement. And that's Tim Walz, that's Jacob Frey, that's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's basically most of the Democrat Party leadership, and voices like John Fetterman are few and far between on that side of the aisle. Yes.
John Fetterman, the voice of reason. I mean, that tells you.
Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed, right?
Much. Ed Morrissey, hotair.com. Listen, I believe the midterms are winnable for the Republicans, but we'll get into that another time. I'll be doing having that conversation January 24th. Tickets.tonykatz.com. Get your tickets. It's going to be an incredible event with the bourbon and everything else. Ed Morrissey, hotair.com. I appreciate you. More is coming up. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Dang, Mike. Welcome back. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. Oh, it has been a good week. Can't thank you guys enough for being a part of that. And as I was saying earlier, everything is moving in the right direction. Really do appreciate the help and the support in everything there. And it's been terrific. It has been absolutely terrific. I wonder sometimes if you know, radio works well for me and radio does me well. For all the people that are doing it just online, just in whether it's streaming or podcast, how many of them, right? You've got people who were already famous, right? Don't count those. How many of them are able to build an audience that, and so this is a business question, that allows them to feed their family, right? And so now you're somebody who's viewing the content. Exactly how many of these places can you be a supporter? I don't know how that one is sustainable, except it's amazing. Now, of course, I'm leaving out if you're building your channels right, and there's sponsorship within the channels and everything else, right? And the opportunities there, and just there must come a moment of it stops, right? There has to come a moment of there are just no other people I can subscribe to. There are no other places I can belong to. So that is always the question. But and I don't look. I'm not one of the guys looks to the walking away. I'm trying to do something now. Will it work? Won't it work? It's always a great question. But I think people look to the digital because they're either going to walk away from radio or they weren't able to get the radio gig because there are only so many, right? And I know I'm such a lowlife. I have 2, 3. But it's I do wonder that. I am curious about that. How many get are able to create an actual life? So just a follow-up to the story I was talking about the Iranians and the Iranian people there and rising up and engaged in protest and trying to get rid of the Ayatollah. And I'll get into this more. You'll notice that no one is standing up for them. Where are all the protesters who were there for the poor Palestinians stand up for the Iranians? Well, one of the places they are is in front of a synagogue in a Jewish school in New York while they scream, "We support Hamas." Not the Palestinian people, Hamas. I appreciate that we are no longer pretending that this was about supporting terrorists. That all this talk about the Palestinians was always nonsense. It was about how can you destroy Israel. At least now they're honest about it. You have a peace deal. You gave back hostages. Other nations are involved, and they're still going in front of synagogues to protest and try and intimidate. They've told you who they are. It's who they always were. Only the left tried to cover for them. I'm Tony Katz. It's the truth. Oh, they're not just protesting just so they can get on social media. They can get on social media for all sorts of reasons. Now, they might be doing it to get themselves clicks. That's true. That is legitimate. Guys, appreciate you very, very much. Can't thank you guys enough for being here. The radio show continues at WIBC.com. Make sure you're over there at TonyKatz.com and that you are subscribed over there. It's free if you want to be a supporter. I appreciate it. And then, of course, it's going to be so good. I want to see you there. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. The bourbon, the food, the laughs, the going over the last year and how it's going to lead to a victory in 2026. The midterms are winnable. I'm going to share my thoughts on how to win them. I'm going to share that blueprint. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Get your tickets. Get them right now. The discount is on. The VIP is sold out, right? But general admission is still there. Seats are going to be great. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. It's going to be amazing. People are going to look fancy, feel fancy, drink fancy, eat fancy, and laugh. You might even laugh fancy. You might even give a chortle. Perhaps a guffaw. It's going to be so good. Tickets.TonyKatz.com. Get your tickets. It's going to be amazing. I appreciate you guys. The show continues at WIBC.com. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch you all on Monday. Looking forward to it, and I appreciate you very much. You take care now.